From Lucky 210-309, do you think Nikki will take AJ's longest title record, considering the way AJ left WWE so rudely? I don't think she will, but obviously I hope she does, because regardless whether Nikki drops the title to Naomi or Paige, it's obvious that the end goal is to put the title on Charlotte by the end of the year. So in that regard, I think it only makes sense for Nikki to keep the championship until then. Not only would that make Charlotte's win more relevant, but there's a significant story that could be told with that. With Charlotte supposedly being the savior of wrestling that's going to usher in a new era, it only makes sense for her to dethrone the Diva that Smarks see as the definition of the Divas division, despite the countless times she's continued to prove them wrong by outperforming every other Diva in that division. But this creates that perfect kind of passing of the torch story for Charlotte, while giving Nikki the perfect story to earn respect by proving herself once and for all and carrying Charlotte to a 5-star classic. That angle alone provides a good enough reason for Nikki to keep the championship long term. Plus, I think it'd be kind of karmic justice that the Diva that would break AJ's record is the one that defied her whole idea that Divas who look good can't be good wrestlers. You have the perfect story to work with there, with Nikki wanting to break the record not just to make history, but to prove AJ and all the doubters wrong. What do you think about Mickie James returning, and do you think she is going to ally herself with James Storm and finally turn heel? Well, if you pay attention to her facial expressions, you can see she's still doing those psycho-ish mannerisms. So that might be a sign of a potential heel turn to come, whether that's turning heel with Magnus and doing a kinky couple angle, or turning heel by revealing James Storm as the father of her child. Either way would be interesting. But it seems like Mickie James is pretty much done with the knockout division, so I don't know whether a heel turn is really necessary. But since they are pushing for the idea of having one more match, maybe turning her heel is a good way to set up her last feud. I assume her last match is going to be against Awesome Kong, because that is kind of a dream match that's never happened before, and this could be their last chance to do it. From Triple X, Silver Extreme, Triple X, what are your thoughts on Tamina returning and teaming up with Naomi? I don't see the point in it. I mean, it makes sense on paper being that they're both related, but with the way Naomi is being booked, there's no reason why she needs Tamina. She's winning all her matches clean, she's not a cowardly heel, she's not cheating, she still wrestles like a face, and Booker T is literally putting her over as the greatest diva of all time. Naomi is being booked as a stronger heel right now than Nikki or AJ was, because AJ constantly had to have Tamina's help, Nikki constantly has to help Brie's help, whereas Naomi, even with Tamina in her corner, doesn't need her to do anything. So it makes no sense why Naomi needed a partner, because she wasn't struggling to the point where she needs someone else to help her. What do you think about Velvet Sky returning, and do you think there was any point in her leaving? I don't know why TNA let her go in the first place, especially considering that they re-signed Angelina Love not long after they let Velvet's contract expire. You know, people argue that there's no point in keeping her because she feuded with everyone, did everything, yet that isn't completely true. She never feuded with Brooke. She never interacted with Rebel. She never feuded with Taryn Terrell. She never had a proper reign as champion, and she never had a definitive feud with Angelina Love. In fact, one of the biggest things that the Beautiful People has never done was feud with an opposing knockout stable like the Dollhouse. So even at this stage, Velvet still has a lot to offer to the knockout division. Michael Byers-Simester, do you think WWE is holding Brie Bella back? I don't usually believe in burials, but I do believe WWE is burying Brie, in that they're doing everything possible to kill any momentum that she could have. You just look at the past episode of Raw, where Brie was once again squashed in a pointless match where the commentators kept putting over how weak the Bellas are compared to their dominant opponents. Not to mention the fact that if WWE really wanted, they could have given Brie a significant moment with that match by having her follow Daniel Bryan's speech, and then play up on the idea that she's too distressed to focus on the match. But they didn't do that. Just like they didn't let Brie get her redemption on Nikki, like Stephanie didn't give Nikki the rub as champion, like a lot of other missed opportunities with the Bellas. And that's the problem, is that they're not doing anything. They're just having Brie go out there and get squashed every week to put over Nikki's challengers with no character development or reason for people to care. Ashley Cole, if you could choose any storyline for Summer Rae to be a part of, what would it be and why? I think the Marine storyline that they're doing with The Miz was actually the perfect way to build Summer Rae back up, whether they went with a cocky movie star angle or whether they churn Summer Rae face. So if they don't drop the ball with this angle once The Miz returns, then this could definitely help elevate Summer Rae back up. The one storyline that I want her to be in the most is in a feud for the title against Nikki. The fact that they haven't even had a one-on-one match yet already makes this a special match. And overall, I just feel like their personalities would clash perfectly against each other. And that's why it sucks that Summer Rae has been treated as badly as she has been, and that Nikki hasn't been booked as dominant as she should have been. Otherwise, this could have been a really huge feud by now. From WWE fan, with Emma turning heel, do you think she will stand out more? I do think it's a little bit weird to turn one of the most lovable babyface characters in the division heel, but then again, she wasn't going anywhere as a face. So just like Naomi, this heel turn can help give her that little extra edge that she needs to finally take her a little bit further. Plus, I've been waiting a long time to see an Emma versus Bayley feud, so this is worth it just for that reason alone. I do think it works on NXT, but I don't know whether it will work as well on the main roster, being that every diva on the roster is a heel now. So unless they do something drastic with Emma's character, then I still have my doubts that she will stand out that much more. From Affinity Skyliner X Forever X, what is your opinion on Eva Marie leaving the role to train, and could she be a top diva? A lot of people will say that she should have done this in the first place, but with the timing of Total Divas, they pretty much had to put her on TV, especially knowing how much potential she has. As much as people like to joke about Eva Marie botching and being clueless, she has always showed signs of wanting to improve. In fact, I think it was a couple months after her debut that she went to Mickie James for advice. So it is good that she is taking that next step. And even if she doesn't become the next Natalya in the ring, she doesn't need to be. She just needs to tune up her skills to a decent enough level to where she can work a good match with anyone that's better than her. That's all she needs to do to become a top diva in the future, because she already has everything else down just fine. Why do you say that AJ's title reign was bad, but if Nikki had a 2-year reign, you would be happy? There's a difference between a long title reign and a bad title reign. The reason I say AJ's title reign was bad was because of the effect that it had on the overall state of the division. And even AJ fans will agree. The division during AJ's title reign was lackluster, except they'll blame Total Divas for that. But even if you want to put the blame on them, you'd have to overlook why Total Divas was booked the way they were. They were stuck in a loop where WWE wanted to push the Total Divas, but they didn't want AJ to drop the title. And as a result, Total Divas had to win all these irrelevant matches in an attempt to keep their momentum for when AJ squashed them at the next pay-per-view. But no matter how many matches they won, the only victory that mattered in the end was AJ's. So in the end, the entire cast of Total Divas was rendered irrelevant by AJ, to the point where it felt like they all would be jobbers if not for Total Divas. Whereas with Nikki, she's not being booked strong enough as a champion. She barely wins any matches. When she does, it's not clean, and her feuds are more about putting her opponent over than herself. So that's the difference. But that just about does it for this week. This has been MTO with the MTO More Reviews, saying yada yada yada, blah blah blah.